Welcome to the world of Vikings, a land of gods, giants, and epic tales. Norse mythology isn't just entertainment, it's how the Norse explain thunder, seasons, and the world's creation. Here, Odin seeks wisdom, Thor wields his mighty hammer, and Loki stirs up trouble. These gods are flawed, passionate, and deeply human, making their stories timeless. We'll journey through the 9 realms, witness cosmic battles, and uncover the secrets of Ragnarok. Settle in. The wild world of Norse myth awaits.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
Before anything, there was Ginnungagap, a vast yawning void. To the north, icy Niflheim. To the south, fiery Muspelheim, guarded by Surtur and his flaming sword. Ice and fire crept into the void, clashing in the center. Where they met, the ice melted, steam rose, and life began to stir. This cosmic collision set the stage for creation. From the mist and melting ice, the first living being would soon emerge. It all began with a simple drip in the emptiness. From the melting ice, Ymir, the first giant, was born ancestor to all giants. As Ymir slept, more giants sprang from his body. Audumbla, the cosmic cow, emerged to nourish Ymir with rivers of milk. Audumbla licked salty ice, revealing Buri, the first god. Buri's son Bor married Besla, a giantess, uniting gods and giants. Their union would shape the universe. From chaos and order, the next generation of gods was born. The stage was set for a cosmic transformation. Bor and Besla's sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve, were the first Aesir gods. They saw chaos in Ymir and the giants, and chose to create order. The brothers waged war, slaying Ymir in a cataclysmic battle. Ymir's blood flooded the world, drowning most giants. Only Bergelmir and his wife survived. With Ymir's body, the brothers had the raw material for creation. They became cosmic architects, ready to build a new world. The universe was about to be transformed from chaos to order. Odin and his brothers shaped the world from Ymir's remains. His flesh became land, bones the mountains, blood the seas, and skull the sky, held up by 4 dwarves. Sparks from Muspelheim became the sun, moon, and stars. Ymir's brains formed the clouds. At the center they built Midgard, a fortress for humanity from Ymir's eyebrows. The world tree Yggdrasil connected all realms. 9 realms emerged, each with its own wonders and dangers. The Norse cosmos was born from the body of a giant. Atop Yggdrasil lies Asgard, home of the Aesir gods. Asgard is a shining fortress, accessible only by the rainbow bridge Bifrost, guarded by Heimdall. Odin's Valhalla welcomes fallen warriors. Thor's Bilskirnir is the grandest hall. The Aesir, gods of war, wisdom and power, rule here led by Odin with Thor, Frigg and others. They are passionate, flawed, and ever vigilant against chaos. Life in Asgard is feasting, training, and preparing for Ragnarok. Asgard stands as a beacon of order, but its fate is always uncertain. Odin, the All-Father, is a god of war, wisdom, and poetry, driven by an insatiable quest for knowledge. He sacrificed his eye for wisdom at Mimir's well, and hung from Yggdrasil to master the runes. Accompanied by his ravens, Odin is a shrewd wanderer, always seeking secrets and shaping the fate of the cosmos. If Odin is the brains of the Norse pantheon, then his son Thor is most certainly the brawn. Thor is the god of thunder, lightning and storms, a powerful and straightforward warrior whose primary role is the protection of both Asgard and Midgard. He is immensely popular, a real champion of the common folk, known for his incredible strength, his hearty appetite, and his somewhat quick temper. While he may not possess his father's cunning or intellectual depth, his courage is absolute, and his dedication to defending the realms from chaos is unwavering. When you hear the rumble of thunder in the sky, the Norse people believed it was the sound of Thor's chariot rolling across the heavens. Thor's power is amplified by three legendary treasures. The most famous of these is his hammer, Mjolnir. Forged by dwarves, this mighty weapon is so powerful it can level mountains with a single blow. It also has a magical property. After being thrown, it always returns to Thor's hand. To wield this incredible weapon, Thor needs a pair of iron gauntlets called Jarngriper, which allow him to grip the hammer's short handle. Finally, he wears a belt of strength, Megingjord, which, doubles his already godlike physical power. With these items, Thor is an almost unstoppable force of nature, the ultimate defender against any threat. Thor's greatest enemies are the Jotnar, the giants. He spends much of his time traveling to their realm, Jotunheimr, to do battle with them. While Odin sometimes negotiates or forms alliances with giants, Thor's approach is far simpler: smash first, ask questions later. He sees the giants as a direct threat to the cosmic order, a force of destructive chaos that must be contained and, more often than not, destroyed. His tales are filled with epic battles against giant foes, stories of brawn over brain, where his straightforward hammer-first approach usually saves the day for gods and men alike. Despite his fearsome reputation as a warrior, Thor is not just a mindless brute, he is a guardian, a protector who feels a deep sense of responsibility for the safety of humanity. He is married to the golden-haired goddess Sif, and they have a family and a home in Asgard. His adventures are often more than just giant slaying. They are quests to retrieve stolen artifacts, defend the honor of the gods, and maintain the delicate balance of the cosmos. Thor is the reliable, ever-present shield of the gods, the thunderous champion whose strength provides a sense of security in a dangerous and uncertain world. Then there's Loki. He is perhaps the most complex and fascinating figure in all of Norse mythology. Loki is not one of the Aesir by birth, he is the son of a giant, but he was welcomed into Asgard by Odin, who swore a blood oath with him, making them sworn brothers. This dual nature, part god and part giant, lies at the heart of his character. He is handsome, charming, and incredibly clever, a master of words and a shapeshifter who can change his form into any creature or object. He is the god of mischief, trickery, and chaos, and his presence in Asgard is a constant source of both trouble and unexpected solutions. Loki's role is that of the catalyst. He is the agent of change, the one who disrupts the status quo. His pranks and schemes range from the relatively harmless, like cutting off the beautiful golden hair of Thor's wife Sif, to the truly malicious, like engineering the death of the beloved god Balder. He often creates problems for the gods simply out of boredom or spite, yet, paradoxically, his incredible cunning is frequently the only thing that can solve the very crises he has caused. The gods tolerate him because they often need his quick thinking, even though they can never truly trust him. Loki is also the father of a number of monstrous and terrifying children with the giantess Angerboda. These offspring are destined to play a major role in the world's destruction. His children include the giant wolf Fenrir, who is fated to kill Odin, Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a snake so enormous it encircles the entire world, biting its own tail, and Hel, the goddess who rules over the grim realm of the dead. The gods feared these children so much that they took them from Loki and imprisoned them, a decision that only fueled Loki's growing resentment and bitterness toward his Aesir companions. As the myths progress, Loki's tricks become darker and more malevolent. His playful mischief slowly curdles into outright evil, and he transforms from a troublesome ally into the gods' greatest adversary. His final betrayal, leading to the death of Balder, crosses a line from which there is no return. The gods finally capture him and subject him to a horrific punishment, binding him in a cave with a snake dripping venom onto his face until the end of time. But they know this won't hold him forever. Loki is destined to break free at the dawn of Ragnarok, leading the forces of chaos against the gods in the final, world-ending battle. While the Aesir of Asgard are the most famous of the Norse gods, they are not the only divine family. There is another group of deities known as the Vanir. These gods hail from Vanaheimr, another of the 9 realms, and they are primarily associated with nature, fertility, wisdom, and prosperity. In the distant past, the Aesir and the Vanir fought a long and bitter war. In the end, Neither side could gain a decisive victory, so they made peace and exchanged hostages to ensure the truce held. The Vanir sent their most prominent members, the sea god Njörður and his two children, Frey and Freya, to live in Asgard. Freya is one of the most powerful and revered goddesses in the Norse pantheon. She is the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, and a form of magic known as cedar. But she is also a fierce warrior goddess. When she rides into battle, she claims half of the heroic souls slain, bringing them to her own hall in Asgard, Folkvanger. She's often depicted riding a chariot pulled by two large cats and wearing a magnificent falcon feather cloak that allows her to fly. Freya is a figure of immense power and independence, desired by gods and giants alike, but she is fiercely her own master. Her twin brother Frey is equally important. Frey is the god of peace, fertility, rain, and sunshine, and he rules over the realm of Alfheimr, the land of the Light Elves. He brings prosperity and good harvest to humanity, and is invoked for success and bountiful seasons. Frey possesses a magical ship, Skidbladnir, which is large enough to hold all the gods but can be folded up and put in his pocket. He also has a powerful sword that can fight on its own, though he tragically gives it away for the love of a giantess, a decision that will have dire consequences for him during the final battle of Ragnarok. Beyond the gods, the Nine Realms are populated by a host of other beings. The dwarves are master craftsmen who live underground in Svartalfheimr, forging the greatest treasures of the gods, including Thor's hammer and Odin's spear. The Light Elves of Alfheimr are beautiful and benevolent beings, while the Dark Elves, who also live underground, are more mysterious. And of course, there are the giants of Jotunheimr, the ancient enemies of the gods, representing the raw, untamed forces of nature. All these beings, from gods to giants to elves, play their part in the grand, interconnected saga of the Norse cosmos. Asgard, once open and vulnerable, needed protection from giants. A mysterious builder arrived, offering to construct an unbreakable wall in one winter if he could have the sun, the moon, and Freya's hand. The gods, with Loki's cunning, set impossible terms, but as the wall rose, panic set in. The builder and his stallion might actually succeed. The gods cornered Loki, demanding he save Freya, the sun, and the moon from the builder's bargain, or face a painful end. Loki, ever the trickster, transformed into a mare and lured away the builder's stallion, dooming the wall's completion. From this chaos, Loki returned, with Sleipnir, the eight-legged horse, gifting it to Odin. The gods of Asgard owed their youth to Idun's golden apples. One day, Loki, Odin, and Honir met a giant disguised as an eagle, who forced Loki to betray Idun. Loki lured Idun from Asgard, and the giant snatched her away. Without her apples, the gods began to age, facing a dire crisis. Even the gods need to kick back sometimes, but Thor's idea of fun, fishing for the monstrous Midgard serpent, Jormungandr. Disguised as a boy, Thor joined the giant Hymir at sea, baited his hook with an ox head, and hooked the world serpent. The battle raged, but Hymir, terrified, cut the line. The serpent vanished, but their fates were now entwined. One morning, Thor woke up and reached for his most prized possession. It was gone. Mjolnir, his mighty hammer, had been stolen. This was honestly a catastrophe of the highest order. Without his hammer, Asgard was vulnerable. Thor, in a panic, went straight to Loki. He knew that if anyone could figure out this mess, it was the god of mischief. Loki, for once looking serious, agreed to help. He borrowed Freya's magical falcon feather cloak, which allowed the wearer to fly, and soared to Jotunheimr, the land of the giants, to investigate. He suspected this was their handiwork, and sure enough, Loki's suspicions were correct. He found the king of the giants, a brute named Thrym, who boasted that he had stolen the hammer. Thrym had buried it 8 miles beneath the earth and refused to return it unless he was given the most beautiful of all goddesses, Freya, as his bride. Loki flew back to Asgard with the news. The gods were horrified. They went to Freya and told her to put on her wedding dress. Freya, however, was not amused. She flew into such a rage that her powerful necklace, the Brisingamen, burst from her neck. She made it very clear that she would never marry a hideous giant. The gods were at a loss. Without the hammer, they were doomed, but they couldn't force Freya to go. Then, the ever-watchful god Heimdall came up with a brilliant, if utterly ridiculous plan. He suggested that Thor should be the one to go to the wedding. Not as himself, of course, but dressed as Freya. Thor was appalled. Dressing as a woman would be the ultimate humiliation for the most masculine of gods. He refused, but Loki reminded him that without Mjolnir, the giants would soon be ruling Asgard. Reluctantly, Thor agreed to the humiliating disguise. So, the gods dressed Thor in a bridal gown, placed a beautiful veil over his face to hide his beard and fierce eyes, and hung Freya's famous necklace around his thick neck. Loki, never one to miss out on the fun, disguised himself as Freya's bridesmaid and agreed to accompany him. The two of them traveled in Thor's chariot to Jotunheimur for the wedding. The giants prepared a massive feast to celebrate. Thor, as the bride, proceeded to eat an entire ox and 8 salmon and drink 3 whole barrels of mead. Thrym was astonished by his bride's appetite, but the quick-thinking Loki explained that Freya had been so excited to marry him that she hadn't eaten for a week. The story of the Mead of Poetry is a tale of murder, magic, and cunning, and, honestly, it begins, as many things do, with the end of the war between the Aesir and the Vanir. To seal their truce, the 2 tribes of gods all spit into a single vat. From this divine saliva, they created a being named Kvasir. He wasn't a god, but he was the wisest man who had ever lived. He could answer any question asked of him. Kvasir traveled the world, sharing his immense knowledge with anyone who sought it. He was a beacon of wisdom and peace in the realms. Unfortunately, not everyone valued wisdom. One day, Kvasir visited the home of 2 wicked dwarves, Fjalar and Galar. These dwarves were cruel and greedy, and they grew jealous of Kvasir's great wisdom. They murdered the wise man and drained his blood into 3 large containers. They then mixed his blood with honey, and through some dark dwarven magic, they brewed it into a special mead. Anyone who drank this mead would be blessed with the gift of poetry and scholarship, becoming a master of words and verse. They had literally turned the blood of wisdom into a magical drink. The dwarves' treachery didn't end there. They later murdered a giant named Gilling and his wife. Gilling's son Suttung was enraged and sought revenge. He captured the 2 dwarves and was about to drown them when they offered him the magical mead in exchange for their lives. Suttung accepted the deal and took the 3 vats of poetic mead for himself. He hid them deep inside a mountain called Nitbjorg and set his own daughter, the giantess Gunnlod, to stand guard over it day and night. The precious mead was now locked away from the world, a secret known only to the giants. But secrets in the 9 realms have a way of getting out. Odin, the All-Father, ever hungry for knowledge and power, eventually heard whispers of this magical mead. He was determined to possess it for himself and for the gods. Disguising himself as a wandering farmhand named Bölverk, or evildoer, he set off on a long and perilous journey to Suttung's mountain. He would use all of his wit, charm, and deceit to trick the giants and steal the mead of poetry. It was a quest that would require seduction, trickery, and a very steady hand, proving once again that Odin would stop at nothing to gain more wisdom. In Norse myth, 3 mysterious women, the Norns, wove the fate of gods and mortals alike. Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld lived by Yggdrasil's roots, weaving destiny at the well of Urd. Their tapestry shaped every life, even Odin's. They also cared for the world tree, ensuring the cosmos endured. In Norse myth, the bravest warriors slain in battle were chosen by Valkyries and taken to Valhalla, Odin's great hall, to feast and fight until Ragnarok. Others went to Freya's hall, Folkvangr. Most, though, journeyed to Hel, a cold, shadowy realm for those who died ordinary deaths. The afterlife reflected how you lived and died. The first sign of Ragnarok was tragedy, the death of Baldur. Beloved by all, Baldur was the god of light and purity, but he dreamed of his own death, and fear spread through Asgard. Frigg, his mother, made all things swear not to harm him, except mistletoe. Loki crafted a deadly dart from mistletoe. He tricked Hoder into throwing it, and Balder fell, dead. The light of the world was gone. Ragnarok was now inevitable. The death of Balder set in motion the end of the world. Fimbulwinter gripped the land, and chaos reigned. Wolves devoured the sun and moon, plunging the world into darkness. All bonds broke, monsters and giants were unleashed. Heimdall sounded Gjallarhorn. The gods marched to their doom. Gods and monsters clashed in a final apocalyptic battle. Surtur's fire consumed the world, and the earth sank into the sea. After fire and fury, when the gods have fallen and the world is cleansed, Norse myth promises a new beginning. From the ashes, green shoots rise, and hope returns. These ancient stories echo in our language, our culture, and our imagination, reminding us that every ending is also a new dawn. Why do Norse myths still capture us? Their gods are flawed, their world harsh, but their spirit endures. These stories teach us to face chaos with courage, to stand together, and to find strength in struggle. The Viking spirit lives on, reminding us to be brave in our own saga.